law. This is reinforced by the following verses. Once again I testify to every man who lets himself be circumcised that he is obliged to obey the entire law. You who want to be justified by the law have cut yourselves off from Christ, you have fallen away from grace. Galatians 5:3-4. New Revised Standard Version. One of the strongest pieces of evidence that Paul's opponents were the original apostles comes in Galatians 2:6-14, and from those who were supposed to be acknowledged leaders 74. Development of the Christian doctrine. What they actually were makes no difference to me. God shows no partiality. Those leaders contributed nothing to me. On the contrary, when they saw that I had been entrusted with the gospel for the uncircumcised, and when James and Cephas and John, who were acknowledged pillars, recognized the grace that had been given to me, they gave to Barnabas and me the right hand of fellowship, agreeing that we should go to the Gentiles and they to the circumcised. But when Cephas came to Antioch, I opposed him to his face, because he stood self-condemned, for until certain people came from James, he used to eat with the Gentiles. But after they came, he drew back and kept himself separate for fear of the circumcision faction. And the other Jews joined him in this hypocrisy, so that even Barnabas was led astray by their hypocrisy. But when I saw that they were not acting consistently with the truth of the gospel, I said to Cephas before them all, "If you, though a Jew, live like a Gentile and not like a Jew, how can you compel the Gentiles to live like Jews?" Galatians 2:6-14. New Revised Standard Version. We see here that initially it was James, Cephas and John who recognized Paul's authority. What about the other Jerusalem apostles? Were they the important and prominent ones who wanted Paul to add to his teachings? If not, why were they not mentioned? And what was he supposed to add? It seems logical that these opponents were original apostles, and that they wanted him to preach the following of Mosaic law. The above quote shows that later, in Antioch, even Cephas had a run-in with Paul over the practice of Mosaic law. Paul, where did the concept come from? 75 accuses him and the other Jews of dissembling, and not being straightforward about the truth of the gospel and of wanting to force the Gentiles to accept Mosaic law. If Paul attacked even his own supporters among the Jerusalem apostles, it seems inevitable that he was at odds with them as a group. Given the extremely strong prohibition of idol worship in any form, which is at the core of Mosaic law, it is almost certain that any tendency to deify Jesus would have been strongly resisted by the Jerusalem apostles. This could well have been the basic cause of the rift between Paul and the original apostles. Brandon argues Ibid, p. 154. According to Paul's own testimony, his gospel was repudiated and his authority as apostle was rejected by his opponents. This the leaders of the Jerusalem church could effectively do, because Paul had never been an original disciple of Jesus, nor had he learned the faith from them. However, the irony of the situation, from our point of view, is that it is Paul's gospel that has survived and is known to